Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday morning, February 22nd. I will be talking some in code in this because I'm not absolutely sure which words are going to get me kicked off and which will not. But I'm going to be covering or doing an overview of Mr. P, the big speech that he did yesterday afternoon that's kind of going around all over the place. I did start watching it last night. I watched some more of it this morning. It's an hour and 45 minutes and it's in English subtitles. So it takes kind of a while to process all of that. And that's what I'm going to go over, but I need to go over a couple of things first as far as the deep dive that I did when the whole Ukrainian thing kicked in. I had to educate myself what was really going on over there. So if you haven't done that yet, a lot of this will not make sense to you. I will attach that particular video at the end of this, but I did a very, very deep dive into what was going on over there and why there was fighting going on. So that was very, very educational. If you don't know what was going on over there, we'll just say there were a lot of bad things going on. A lot of people from the United States were involved, particularly politicians. They got a lot of their money from there, shipped from there over to here by all of the stuff that was going on over there that was not good for humanity, not good for small people, not good for a lot of things all the way around. My understanding was that the fighting that was going on over there was Russia trying to kick out the bad guys. We'll just say that. So that being said, my girlfriend is from Hungary, and she sent me a message and she's like, did you see the speech? And I was like, I haven't watched anything yet. I saw some stuff on Telegram. I know it's out there. I was busy at work. Then I had a meeting after work. And so by the time I sat down, I was just like tired. My brain was fried, but I promised her I would watch it. And because she comes from Europe, she has a way different view of the United States than we do who were born here. I'm sure everybody that does not live or was born in the United States has a different view of us than we all have for a long time. So anyway, as I started watching it, and again, I've only watched probably 45 minutes of it, but I get the gist of what he is saying. And what I got from this is they must have accomplished what they were trying to accomplish with the bad people who were fighting in Ukraine and harming people in very serious ways. They must have accomplished taking them out, because I got from that speech yesterday that he did, it was more of, okay, now this is how we're going to rebuild. You cannot rebuild a country if you are still in the middle of a big, huge fight trying to take down the bad people. It's just impossible. It'd be like trying to start building a new house before you had the foundation laid or cleared or all of the crap out of the way and the debris out of the way. So as I listened to that, and not get caught up in the minutia, I was like, he's basically telling everybody in the audience where we go from here. This is how we're going to help the soldiers that were in the war. This is how we are going to help the people that got hurt, the families. This is how we are going to rebuild. This is how we're going to rebuild this. So as I was listening to that, I was like, they must have cleaned out things the way they needed to be cleaned out, because you can't rebuild something if it's not. I also sat there a lot of the times, listened to what he had to say, and I kept thinking, God, I wish we had a leader like that in our country. Now, of course, we did once upon a time, and we still do in the background, but it would be lovely if the bonehead that is in there right now was not the main presence. But again, as we know, this is all kind of playing out. So I guess I took that as good news. I was like, okay, if they in the East have gotten that all cleared up, then they did he did start kind of I felt like he was kind of starting to talk about Jasara and Nasara and the changeover of the currency and everything. And that's kind of when I stopped watching it, because I knew that could be another half an hour, and I can only like watch that in bits because it's a lot. It's a lot of information and trying to read it and everything. So I will continue watching some more of that again and again. But at the same time, I didn't even get to the part where he starts talking a lot about history. And my friend Timmy was like, he talks about history and he goes back to like Napoleon. So I'm interested in watching that and see why she was so excited about that. You know, she's the one that brought the name George Soros to my attention. I didn't know who the hell she was talking about at the time. And so having her around is certainly very beneficial when it comes to bouncing off some of that stuff that's going on over in Europe. But I sent her the speech, the Super Bowl speech, and I didn't realize I hadn't sent that to her, and so she's like, "Oh my God!" She's like, "I'm getting excited." So it does feel like things are getting closer and closer all the time, especially after listening to you know who's speech yesterday, and what supposedly was supposed to come out at the Super Bowl. They are gearing us up for the next phase of what's getting ready to happen. So anyway, that was the main thing that I wanted to talk about, was what I got from that whole thing, is the rebuilding that's taken place. Also, this has nothing to do with that, so you can click off here if you don't want to hear the rest of this. But I want to tell you about a guy that I ended up kicking out of my office last Friday. And kind of what came out of that. I am not one that likes confrontation whatsoever. But the stronger that I get in my whatever awakening, I know what I'm fighting for now. I am more in touch with who I am. I know my mission. I know a lot of stuff more than when I was younger. Long story short, a guy came into the office to pick up a check. It appears that his closer accidentally stuck it in the mail. So he was really upset because he had driven all the way across town on a Friday night to pick up this check. And it wasn't a case of, I can just, do a stop payment and hand you a new one, because if it goes out of the building, which we thought it did, there's a 24-hour thing that goes on it before they can cut a new check. So we could not just hand him a check. So before he left, he was kind of venting at my desk, and I'm okay with people venting. I mean, I knew I didn't have anything to do with it, and people are allowed to vent. Sometimes I vent on screen. Sometimes I vent at the back of my office. Sometimes I just got to get it out of my system. Sometimes I call a girlfriend. People are allowed to vent. And he started venting, and then he basically called the closer that accidentally put the check in the mail a bimbo. And when he said that word, that got Mama Bear and me up. And I stood up and I was like, that's it. You've crossed the line. You can leave now. And I wasn't even shaking or anything. I was just like, you have crossed the line. We're done here. You need to leave. That was uncalled for. And one of the other gals was sitting in the room behind me, so she heard part of that, and she's like, at first I thought he was kind of joking, and our voices started getting higher and higher and higher, and of course there's a closing in the room next door to me, and so I was like, you know, they didn't hear me, or at least the closer said she didn't hear me, so that's good. But anyway, after that whole thing happened, and I kind of started shaking because I think my adrenaline kicked in afterwards, because I think I was more surprised not by what he said and him being a dumbass and very immature and obviously just not a divine masculine in any way, shape, or form. You could tell by looking at him, you could tell by talking to him. I could tell that when I saw him at closing. Not a divine masculine, but more of the toxic masculine energy, especially when you have to start calling people names. And after that whole thing was over, there was like this proudness that came out of me, kind of like, holy cow, I didn't even know where that came from. I've never experienced that energy inside of me come out where I was like, you're done, you're out of here, get out of here, you know, whatever. It was just crazy. So I also have noticed or heard from somebody else that I am very good friends with that something similar happened to her. So I have this sneaking suspicion that the divine feminines are locking into place. Any last minute healing, I mean, like, you've got to have the divine feminines all locked into place. Now, granted, all of the feminines will not be, but a lot of them are getting locked into making sure they have their boundaries, making sure they're speaking their truth. And I feel like that is also part of what all's getting ready to happen, is not backing down from the people that are doing a bunch of lip service and, you know, standing up for yourself, standing up for other people that need it. Because she wasn't there, she was in another location, so she wasn't able to defend herself because she wasn't even around. So if he calls her that, he's calling me that. He's calling all women that. And those are fighting words apparently, and I didn't even realize it. So anyway, I think that's it. Those are the main two things that have happened that are going to be discussed in this video, I guess. So again, I will attach that video I did where I did the deep dive a year or so ago. And I have also posted the full video of You Know Who speech on Telegram, and a couple of clips and stuff that my girlfriend Timmy had sent me, because she was all excited about that. And so, like I said, it is definitely worth watching. I think it's important that we see what is happening over there, because it appears, you know, we're in our own whatever over here. But anyway, I'm just going to stop here. Everybody have a great day. I'll talk to you later. Bye.